Hello, everyone, and welcome to Remixing the Narrative. I'm so excited for tonight's talk as we're going to focus on girls' mentorship. And so, as you're coming in, please make sure to say hello, share this live so that more and more people can listen and chime in onto the conversation. Today, we're going to focus on the ladies. So, really, just advice for parents, advice for young ladies that we can give during this time in general. Remix the Narrative is a platform that I use to be able to introduce the community to organizations and different people that's doing amazing work. And so today we're going to be talking to Daphne Patterson, and she's going to in a second just introduce herself. But again, as always, as you have comments or questions, put them in the comments and I'll show them throughout this live. Again, hear it as you come in. And again, this whole topic today is all about the power of sisterhood. And so it's very important, I believe, that we are informed of organizations that work directly with our young men and our young women. And today, again, like I said, we're going to focus on our young women. So as we get into this conversation, before we start with the questions, I'm just going to have her introduce herself, and then we'll dive in to learn more about her amazing organization. So you got the floor, Daphne.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Daphne Patterson, and I am originally from Chicago, but I have lived in various places such as Ohio and in Michigan. So I'm pretty much basically been around like the Midwest. But I did go to school at Eastern Michigan University, where I met a lot of wonderful people that I still talk to this day. And I went to school for psychology, which I was focused on mental health and counseling, and now I feel like I want to go back to school and narrow it down to working with children and adolescents. So that's a little bit about me. And I do have an 11-year-old daughter who is in the 5th grade and is going crazy being at home.
I am sure my son is like, he like, I am over this, Ma. I'm over it.
Like, can I please go outside? But it's like, no, honey, I'm sorry, you can't.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I love the context. And so I think about when it comes to birth into books, really the motivation behind the work that I do with my son is him, right? Because thinking about a space where he can learn and be around other children and just learn more about and become more of a lover of reading and a lot of the programming in mind. And so this, I think, is the perfect segue. You talking about your 11-year-old daughter. Just the beginning. I know every organization has a story, right? So how they got to where they are. So can you share a little bit about the story of Girls That Glow? How did it begin?
Of course. In the beginning, I had this idea of wanting to mentor young girls because I had a daughter, and growing up, I really didn't have that, so to speak. I didn't really have kind of an outlet all the time to go and talk to someone about my issues or my concerns. I mean, I had my mom and my aunties and some of my sisters, but I really wanted to have another avenue to have an outlet. And so that was kind of the reason why I created Girls That Glow, and also, to give my daughter a chance to have another outlet but outside of me and our family.
Gotcha.
So I had this idea of starting it back in 2013, and then I was just like, I'm not gonna start it. Then I actually was going through my Instagram feed the other day and noticed it popped up again in 2014, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start this organization, and it was gonna be called Operation Blessed Hearts Foundation, but that's totally not the name of my organization now. But I kind of stopped it then and was like, I don't really necessarily have the time to put in it that I would like to. So I didn't start it back then. But I came to the realization like, okay, I have the time. I want to dedicate myself to this organization. And that's how Girls That Glow began, was in 2018. And so I've just been trying to reach out and get as many girls into the program as possible so that they can have an outlet outside of their family and their network that they currently have now.
Got you. So what does the GLOW stand for? Like, I know it's like an acronym.
Yeah, so it means guiding young leaders to opportunities and wealth.
Awesome. And so when thinking about your title, what's like the demographic? Like, what's your target audience? Is it all girls or is it particular age range that you work with?
I work with girls mainly between the ages of 8 to 14, but
Okay.
I am in the process of getting girls between the age of 15 and 17 because I
Okay.
kind of wanted to venture out a little bit and have them come in as like the big sister component to my younger girls because I feel like sometimes they need that other outlet from an older sister that they can build a relationship with and understand like, okay, she's going through the problems that I'll be going through, and I can ask her questions about the things that may be going on, and I don't want to really ask Miss Daphne those questions or
Mhm.
any of the other mentors that are there. So it gives them another chance to communicate and build strong relationships and and build a sisterhood and a bond with them.
I love it. So that age range is a very interesting group, right? Because I
Yes.
know that I taught from kindergarten to high school. So my kindergartners, the little kids, like it don't take much to get them invested, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love it. Your high schoolers, you get them talking, they feel like they done live life a little bit. I'm in high school now, so it's more we can have conversations, right? We're able to really like look back on some things. They're like, man, I did some stuff in middle school. I mean, we got more to talk about. When I taught middle school, that was just a very interesting space because I feel like in middle school, it's like I'm trying to figure out my identity, right? I'm trying to figure out like where I land. When you're younger, your friends are important, but they're not like too important. It's like, hey, we share crayons, we all friends, you know what I mean? But
Right.
when you get to that middle school, it's like, who's my people, who's my clique, like who, do I fit in? The whole topic of boys start coming as a big deal. And so I mean, I feel like that's a really, really interesting group that you chose to work with. And so, what are some of those topics or things that you all discuss to just kind of help them in that stage that they're in?
It's interesting because we talk about a lot of things, but I think one common theme that they always talk about is how can I share this with my parents?
Mhm.
Whatever it is, how can I talk to my mom or talk to my dad or even talk to like my grandma, for instance, about this topic?
Yeah,
So I think that it's more so they have to figure out, is this a topic that, I feel comfortable talking about? And if it's not, how do I open up to them and explain like this is what's bothering me? So it's interesting because each kid is different. Some kids are very shy. Then you have these other kids with these big personalities, and it's like, okay, you're gonna have to tone it down just a little bit when you're talking to
right,
them. So each child is different, and so I think that's what kind of makes it unique because I like working with all types of people. So with kid, I try to tailor it to them specifically and have them figure out like what works best for you. How do you react or receive information the best? Is it that you want to write it down in a journal, or do you want to sit there and have a conversation with someone? And what scares you about this person that you feel like you can't talk to them? So it's more so just trying to figure out who they are and what works best for them.
I love that. I think for me, my son is 8, so even from that becoming cute, which I'm sure you understand, like the cute little toddler stage, he's definitely becoming more of a, I could do it, I'm good, I'm all right. And so it's like that shift. But I know that there's another shift that you're working with now. And so I remember teaching middle school, and the one thing that parents started, and this can say this as advice for parents, is that they're like, man, they're just like so different now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
uh, and I would explain to them, like, you know what? It's because I think the older our kids get, not the less influence we have on them, but other things really matter. Like, it really matters what I dress and look like. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yes.
really matters who my friend is. It really matters my look. Like, am I pretty enough? If I'm not, when you're younger, you just throw on whatever. It's like at that stage, you're starting to realize, like, man, I'm really forming my identity. And so this will be a perfect segue for parents. So parents, I'm sure they bring their kids here. They're like, I'm lost. Like, what is wrong with her, Miss Daphne? Like, I don't know. This is not the same little girl I know, And so,
Right.
what would be some of the advice you give to parents? Because I believe that this is truly that stage of like that 8 to 14 of like, I don't even know who this kid is anymore. So yeah.
I would definitely say at this age range, you kind of have to pick their brains a little bit. So you kind of have to ask them questions geared upon what they talk about and get them to open up. I feel like once you pick that one topic that they're open about, or say if it's like I know this is just from with my daughter, she always talks about YouTube. So after she gets done talking about her YouTube stuff, then I start asking her other questions that is relating to her life. So I feel like sometimes we have to figure out, where can I connect with them? What are they talking about? Who are they talking about? And who are they talking to? So once you figure out that, then you can start basing your questions around how this affects them, or why they feel a certain way in regards to, what you want to know about your child. I've learned that that works best for me, and that's probably something that you can, you know use it with your child as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so true. Like, it's important to, and I think it's a difference as parents, us trying to be cool and us just being informed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I believe that it could be that fine line of like, I'm not trying to be their friend, right? So I'm not trying to act like, I approve of what you say and what you don't do and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to be your friend. However, I do want to be connected to you and understand what's going on. And so I think as parents, a lot of times we can rely on maybe some old ways in which we were connecting with them. And like you said, I mean, instead of us being like, you can't be on Snapchat, you can't do this, you can't do that, like having more informed conversations about like, why are they doing it? What are they doing? So that we can have a connection. And so I would say, what have you, maybe what's like, even with your daughter, like what have been some things that during this time, since we're home, we shut in, we can't go nowhere. We're in this pandemic. Like, what's some advice or some things that you've been able to do, like with your own daughter? Like maybe I'm a parent, I'm like, how do I even ease into becoming, I don't want to look lame, but I do want to know what's going on. I do want to, be connected to what my child is feeling.
I would definitely say if your kid has a phone, take that away so that you guys can have dialogue, and then try to do different things throughout the day, or plan something like, say, hey, we're going to do this at a certain time. That way you guys to have that, build that bond and build that relationship with one another, so that you two can talk about your day, and just not, and have that social interaction just with you two. Because I feel like a lot of the time we disconnect from our, like, from the real world, because we're so
Yeah.
caught up in social media, we're so caught up in like watching TV and things of that nature, that we forget to how to do just the basic thing of having a dialogue conversation with someone. So it's very important to make sure you plan something, or and set aside a time that you want to do something with their child, whether that is talking to them, or if you guys go outside and exercise, something along those lines that you guys can both do together. I think is the best way that you can go.
I actually really love that advice because even with my son, we do that. Like, this is like a no tech time because he's 8 and um but he's the only child as well, right? And so it could be that battle of, okay, I want you to be able to play with your friends, talking on your mic, all that good stuff. But then this is a time where, and I love what you said, like make it a schedule, make it something they're anticipating. Don't just like come in the room like, all right, get off your phone, get off your PlayStation. It's time for us to have time to let them know, like, hey, you have your opportunity to do your thing, but come 5 o'clock, this is going to be for the next hour or two. We're going to do family time, right? We're going to go on a walk, and you coordinate what that looks like, but allowing them to understand, like, oh, okay, this is the schedule for the day, so that they don't feel, I'll feel one, caught off guard, and make it seem like you interacting with your friends is a bad thing. But also, when we do have time together, I really want it to be our time, and then as parents, we got to do the same thing. We got to put our phone away. And I know I have a lot going on. And so texts come in, calls come in. And so just as much as I want him to be attentive to our time, I as a parent need to do the same thing.
Right.
Yep. And so now we talk to the parent. So now I'm a young lady, right? And so you got an opportunity to work with a lot of young ladies and just kind of work through your program with them. What would be some advice that you maybe have for and you could break it up if you want, like if you're from 8 to this age or from this to this age, because I do know that even though they're in the same band, they don't necessarily suffer with, or not suffer, that's a bad word. They don't necessarily deal with the same things, because it's a little different me being 8 from me being 14, right? So what could be some advice for a young lady that you have for them as they're going through a transition from being an adolescent, young, like look at it as a little girl, and now you're coming into a place where you're really developing your identity and who you are?
Well, I would definitely say for those 8-year-old, I would say for my 8 to 10-year-olds,
Okay.
I feel like they're still at an age where, like, and this includes the parents, and for the the 11 to 14-year-olds, but mainly for my 8 to 10-year-olds, I would definitely say get them into a program like some of these free programs that's online that they can still be learning outside of learning for their classroom work, and get them to read, because their brains are still growing. So you definitely want them to read and get that exercise, keep that momentum going, and keep those are the ones that I would definitely say keep them on a schedule, because sometimes they get sidetracked, especially my 8-year-olds. My 8-year-olds get so sidetracked. If you're like, hey, snap back into it, like we still got stuff to do. So I think they definitely need to stay on a schedule, because they will divert and be somewhere else. But I also would definitely say, and this is for all of them, to maintain a balanced lifestyle as far as they eating habits, and making sure they get all of their vegetables and all of their fruits in, because they don't like that. They definitely are like, I don't want that. I want all the fruit snacks. I want all the junk. But make sure you have like a balanced lifestyle every day is something that they definitely need. Now I'm over here looking at the rest of my notes that I took.
It's like, I want to say something to that, because that's good stuff. There's a whole nother conversation, y'all, but I earlier had a conversation with some of my freshmen, because I teach freshmen, and we were talking about the foods and the things we put in our bodies. And we started talking about, like, one of my kids, she was like, I'm so groggy, I'm so tired. I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know. I just wake up tired. I go to sleep. I'm still tired. And we just started talking more about her diet, because I personally, that's something I'm trying to get better in. So I'm like, okay, so what have you been eating? What have you been doing? What about exercise? I ain't exercise. I ain't doing no exercise. I'm like, okay, what about what you've been eating? So she shared a little bit about that. And so we just started talking more and more about, like, the things that we're putting in our bodies, how that is impacting us as we're growing up, right? And so actually, while we were talking, she was like, I love me some Flamin' Hot. So I love, so I'm like, do you know what that do to your body? And so I actually pulled up a video and we watched it. And it was so, like, awakening for her, like, oh my gosh. And so then we talked about pop. And it was talking about, like, hey, if you drink too much pop, it actually makes you have a distaste towards fruits and vegetables. Like, your mouth isn't used to those tastes. Like, you're used to so much processed sugar and so much processed food that when you actually eat real food, you're like, ugh, I don't like that, And so you got to do some detoxifying, like drinking water and being able to do in moderation. And the only reason I bring that up is because we know our kids are going to eat snacks. So I'm not saying while you in quarantine, don't get them no chips, don't give them any pop, because what she took from that is, moderation. And regardless of, my access to that stuff, like my access to going to grocery shopping and, food deserts, we talked about, like, how even in our neighborhoods, we don't even have access to a lot of those things. So it can be difficult, but it's important that you are aware of what it's doing to your body. And if you have goals, like her goal is that, hey, I'm going to be a certain healthy, lifestyle. I want to be able to, be alert, because she's creative. She loves to write. Like, oh, maybe what I'm eating is impacting me being a good writer. Like, having those kind of conversations, I think is never too young, because even with my 8-year-old, he's like, Mama, I don't think I should be eating McDonald's. You know what I mean? And that wasn't because of me. It's just because he's like, okay, I'm learning this. And so again, parents, I just think just going on that same vein of, like, giving them a routine, educating them, because at the end of the day, if we're not having those conversations, we as adults might not even know that. But I mean, it'll be important for us to start early with them so that they can, as she's saying, as they're getting their routines and developing, they're developing to be their best selves, and they're not building these old and these bad habits that they're later going to have to break. Okay,
Right, I definitely
I'm off my
agree.
soapbox, Daphne.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So we got our
Um,
8 to 10 year olds. Now let's move on to our next group.
I would definitely say for my 11 to 14-year-olds, I want them to set goals. I think this
Mm-hmm.
is the time where they need to start thinking about their goals, thinking about what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, and setting those short term goals so that they can like reward themselves because they're not getting rewards from being in school. So if they set a goal and they tell you, like, hey, mom, I'm going to do this, and then once they achieve it, if they, whatever you guys agree upon is that they can have, then it makes them feel good, makes them get their self-worth going and things like that. So I definitely would say having them set goals would definitely be something good. And also creating a vision board. So that's one of the things that I will talk about later, but having them create a vision board. So because we going it, I can't even believe it. I just don't even believe that half of this year is basically gone come next
Girl,
week.
like in 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
Yes,
What have we
it
done?
just
What
seemed
have we
like
done?
it. So, like having them create a vision board for the rest of this year, even though they're not thinking along those lines, you
Mm-hmm.
can actually see and plan like, hey, this is what I want to do for the summer. This is what I would like to achieve for the fall. And this is what I want to achieve by the end of 2020 so that they can have something to look at and that goes along with their goals so that they can, achieve those things, for the rest of the year. So I would definitely say those are some tips that they can do and implement themselves because I mean, who don't have 9 times out of 10, you can go to Dollar Tree. You can go
Yeah,
to Dollar Tree and
yeah,
get you a poster board because it's
yeah.
only 50 cents. And what mom's gonna say? No, you can't get a poster board for 50 cents. I mean, you probably got glue at home already. And 9 times out of 10, whatever you find at home to stick on there, you can write on there. Just be creative, and that's getting their creative juices going. Because at that time, you want to figure out like what you want to do next and where do you see yourself in, well, maybe I want to do this or maybe I want to do that. So it kind of gets their creative juices going and thinking in that track of frame of mind.
I love it. And I would just add, like, this is the time you all to learn something new. For me, before this, I wasn't really into cooking, and I've started to do that. And just even with some of the girls, I mean, I love, like, even the advice you're speaking, I'm gonna speak to them of like, hey, set some goals setting. Like the days seem to, I feel like, be a little bit more like go by a little bit easier and quicker when you know you were working towards something that day. And if it's something that you really want to learn, like this is the perfect time to do it. One of my girls, she's like, I always wanted to do a podcast. Well, you ain't got nothing but time. So go and find out how to do a podcast, look it up. I mean, same thing for, our young ladies. If, I love what Daphne said, like set some goals. Like even me as an adult, my day can just kind of like go and go and go if I'm just off the top of my head, like, oh, let me work on this. Oh, let me work on this. But if I'm like, hey, even if it's one goal for that day, like a goal for me today is to fold my clothes. So if my goal is that regardless of whatever else I do today, if I hit that goal, I'm gonna feel like, okay, I accomplished something I was moving towards. So vision board, again, Daphne, I cannot believe it's halfway done with the year. But I think that's it's cool. Like, I mean, who knew we was gonna be in a pandemic? So let's really just think about, okay, how do I want the end of this year to go? So that I'm able to move forward. And so I think that's amazing, amazing advice. I wanted to just bring up one of the comments that was shown. So earlier when you talked about just like why you wanted older girls to be a part of it, just saying like that's just a great idea that like I needed that growing up as well. Still need that as an adult. I'm the oldest and I need a big sister too. So I think that just that idea of wanting to add teens to your program is an amazing idea. I've learned that kids can sometimes even receive some input and advice better from someone that's closer to their age versus like someone older feeling like, oh, they actually understand what I'm going through. So that's awesome. So even though I know we're going through all this stuff now, like what's next? What do you see for Girls That Glow? Like what's next? Like the sky's the limit. What do you envision for your program?
Well, I definitely want to actually do hopefully I can do it in person, but if not, I actually do want to do a virtual vision box party, where I'm gonna probably have kids sign up for it, and I just send them different materials in a box,
Oh,
so
that's
you will
awesome.
receive that at home. So that's definitely something that I want to do. And then I also want to plant, hopefully when outside open, because since we are girls that glow, I do like to do a glow night at Sky Zone. So that's something
Mhm.
that I like to do. I like them to get out and just getting to know different people, because sometimes it can be a little different when we like are in that setting of being at the library and just having fun. I think is to get them out is something that I definitely would like them to do. And then I want to do kind of like this. I can't really put it into words, but I don't know how I was saying it earlier. It's kind of like a class for creatives,
Mm.
and so to speak. So I want different people to come in and create different things as far as like inspiration boards and do like an art class, but it's all just in one thing. So people don't feel like, hey, I don't want to do this, but I want to do that. So I kind of want to have like different speakers come in, and we can
Mm.
all be working together in one big space, so everybody can dibble and dabble in a few different things. So that's kind of the next thing that I want to do, and get more mentors, because I am looking for more
Okay,
mentors.
okay.
I am looking for different guest speakers if you want to come in and talk to us. So that's really what I have next.
Awesome. So on that same note, I want to just put up her information so you're able to know how to get in contact with her. So Daphne Patterson, the founder of Girls That Glow. You see at the bottom their website, so girlsthatglow.org to learn more. If you are watching this, if you've looked or you're trying to find ways you can mentor young ladies, or if you have ideas, or if you think you could be an amazing speaker for any of their virtual events, or if you're a creative, right, and you want to be a part of that creative event, definitely reach out to her. I'm sure she is, like she said, looking for amazing individuals who are working. So, are you looking for just adults, or are you also maybe having parents that you think may want to volunteer or tell their teens about the program?
I'm always looking for volunteers, because I feel like each person brings something unique. So what one person is going to bring, another person is going to bring something different. So it gives each of the girls a chance to learn something new. So I feel like we are in this type of in this community. You never can stop learning. You're always going to learn something, and it's always going to be from a different person. So volunteers are always great. People with ideas, even if you don't want to like be in the forefront, your idea, it definitely can be used. So I'm always looking for people to brainstorm with. So
Mm.
if you have something that you think, hey, this might be a good use, or could want to network with me, definitely reach out to me.
Love it, love it. And I just want to say, I was so excited. I reached out to Daphne. So last year I had a girls' conference, and she came with her Girls That Glow, and they literally lit up the place. Like they were glowing. One of the young ladies, one of my best friends who was in her class, I have to remember, I don't know if you remember her name, but her and one of my best friends, Shamira, were like inseparable. She was one of the teachers that she was with her. She always asked me about her. So I'm gonna get back to you, Daphne. But one thing that I will say is that what they spoke of was that all the young ladies that came with your group were in my 9 to 12-year-old class, and most of them, like, they were like the people who were like the leaders within that space, because like I said, that's a very interesting group. So they came in like, hey y'all, and they just kind of looking at them like, what y'all got to give us, you know what I'm saying? But it was really cool. I just remember the young ladies who came with you, and you could just tell that they were used to having that engagement with other girls. They were used to, dialogue. They were excited. They wanted to, be a part of it. Even when we did the team building stuff in the afternoon, they were just all in. And so I just want to say kudos to you. I know starting anything is difficult. So I think a lot of people watching this, they're like, I want to start a nonprofit. I want to start a business. it is not easy, right? And so even though you went through your iterations of like 2013, 2014, I'm just want to let you know I'm excited that you step out on faith and you did it. And just like even putting a call out to say, hey, I need mentors, I need help. It's going to grow because I just see your heart and it's pure and you really want what's best for these girls. And so I just want to encourage you that I'm excited about us working together. I'm excited about seeing how 2020 can be a year it continues to grow. And again, like I said, it is not an easy feat, you all. So support, donate, volunteer. If you have a young lady, I mean, even now, a lot of our kids need that social emotional connection, right? And so this is a perfect opportunity to let parents know and let individuals know about what's going on. And so they're able to keep their kids involved as well. Hey Joseph, he's like, hey y'all.
Hey.
And he has some amazing children, and he does a lot of stuff in the community. So Joseph, you need to meet Daphne if y'all don't already know each other and get your girls involved in her program. But again, I think it's so important. Like you said, we can't have enough spaces. We can't have enough spaces for our young ladies and our young men to be able to connect with people in the community. So again, thank you for your willingness to get on this platform. And again, you all, let's support, let's grow, and continue to build. You have any last things before we close out for
I
today?
don't. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come on here today. And hopefully I get to meet all of you. And I would definitely appreciate if you support me, come and like us on Instagram and on Facebook. And I'll see you all maybe sometime soon.
Yes, I want you to see. So in the comments, again, for some of you all who may be watching this later, again, if you want to learn more about Girls That Glow, I still have it at the bottom so you can learn more about what's going on. You can reach out to myself directly if you have questions about birthing to books. Reach out to Daphne, definitely, if you have questions and you want to be connected with Girls That Glow. Like Crystal is on here. Hey, Crystal, she's like, hey, Daphne, I love to meet you. So in the chat, after this, you all can, exchange information. And so this is the purpose of this. So we can community build, learn more about what's happening in the community so that we could be a support for our families. So thank you all for tuning in for our segment of just really being able to be a space where we are providing insight for you with your young ladies. And so again, those tips that she shared about how we can really be a support to one another, take those to heart, utilize it. Again, the power of sisterhood, the power of really having places for our young ladies is so important. So thank you, Daphne, for your time.
You're welcome.
And see, you did awesome. See, I told you. You did an awesome job. All right, we'll see you all next week. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.